Hello humans, animals, creatures and plants. Now, I happen to believe that growing plants is very therapeutic. Fortunately, there's an awful lot of people there who don't, and they don't want us to go and get flowers and plants and things because it's non-essential. Is your pet essential? How would you like it if I went and shot it in the face? I'm not being melodramatic here, but there's a lot of people who care a lot about their gardens and they should just be left alone. Anyway, I'm going to show you my garden, and I have been buying compost and plants and everything. So, come and arrest me if you dare. So here's some plants I got from Tesco last week, and it was a bit bizarre actually because I had to get them and then I had to go around the other side of the shop where people were queuing 2 metres apart, pass them to my husband. We weren't allowed a trolley, so I just kind of basically sat there balancing all this on my lap. So we've got some lovely fuchsias here, we've got some really pretty little violas, and yeah. Oh, and these I made these last a few years ago. These are they've got catnip in them, and I managed to get some catnip plants before the garden centres closed down. I'm not even going to go into why I think closing garden centres down is a bad idea. Why can't they just operate like supermarkets, just let a few in at a time? I really have no idea. Anyway, I'm going to come around this. This is the Triffid. I don't know what this is. It was here when we moved in. It's got sort of spikes with big sort of seeds in it, right? Okay, so here's my parsnips and onions, and then over here we've got some rhubarb and kind of a lily that just popped up out of nowhere. No idea. None at all. We've got some black currants, and it's broken because one of the cats sat on it, I think. No idea. So we've got loganberries here, and we've got gooseberries, and we've got red currants here, and we've got verbena bonacereris, which is kind of doing okay actually, and then an iris which I put in last year was not doing okay. A couple more wild raspberry plants. Right over here we've got, I tried to grow carrots in this last year and completely failed miserably. That's why it's got sand, because I read a thing on the internet that said if you dibbered things and then put carrot seed in them and then filled up the dibber marks with sand, that they would grow, but they didn't. And a looping plant that's appeared out of nowhere. I've got loads over here. I think it must have self-seeded or something, no idea. Purple sprouting broccoli, which we've been eating quite a lot of. It's the only thing that seems to do really well here actually. There's some Cavallo Nero that's gone to seed here, but it's actually quite pretty. So and these primulas are just kind of self-seed everywhere. Okay, so we've got more purple sprouting broccoli here, and over here. I know it's bonkers, isn't it? And some more primulas. And now I can't actually remember whether these were leeks or onions because I put them in last year and I can't remember. I think there might be onions. There's some more possibly onions or maybe garlic. There's some parsnips there. There's underneath there's some kale that I planted, but you can't actually. Oh no, sorry, the kale's there. Sorry. And yeah, I'll put some onions in over there as well. Let's go over to the self-indulgent flowers now. This area is usually packed with flowers. Perennials. Now I grow a lot of these lupins from seed, and as you can see I've got some on the go in here as well. Now they because there's so many slugs and things around here, not delphiniums things don't do too well. So, and you can kill me if you like now, but I have ordered some online and they are essential, and I don't care what anybody says, right? Here's some tomatoes. Various things Now, I love these great ices. They come up every year. And this chameleon, which I've been looking at and looking after. Now, we first moved in, everything was really overgrown. This was one of the first things I uncovered, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It really is beautiful. Right, so, yep, daffodils, of course, going over now, and it's a shame I've not really been able to enjoy them as much as I usually do, because I don't know, I can't get much joy out of it at the moment. That's why it's so important that people do gardening, because you've got to get your joy where you can. Right, last year we had a tree here that was a bit manky, so we cut it down, and then in the stumps I planted all these bulbs and some Japanese maples, and they're doing really, really well. And more self-seeding primroses. Obviously, I don't know where they've come from. Some bluebells in the green, with some other bluebells in the green. I haven't put them in yet, I should do. There's some camellia plants that I bought last year that I was going to put in the ground. I haven't done it yet. There's some hydrangeas over here that I put in last year. I mean, honestly, this is the only thing that keeps me going, right? I don't have a lot else going on in my life. Being depressed, ADHD, mentally disabled, you know. I really want people to realise that gardening is really, really important. Okay, so over here I've got potatoes growing in sacks. It's not pretty, but it does the job, and we've had some lovely meals out of there. In fact, onions and potatoes and greens are the things that seem to do really, really well. So in a shaggy lawn, I want to get a roller and sort this out, because it's just, you know, and I gave all this quite severe cutting back in the autumn. So, oh yeah, you might notice that was supposed to be a tent, but all those violent storms we had earlier in the year literally ripped it apart. So that classic car we're trying to do up has been exposed to the elements, which is a bit sad. Tree peony here that my father-in-law gave us, and is doing really, really well. A few roses. Some of these I moved from our old house, and they were in a different part of the garden, but they weren't doing very well, so I moved them last year, so hopefully they will do better this year. Anemones in a pot. I don't even remember planting those, so there you go. There's a fuchsia there that's going to come up, and there's a peony that I think I planted the other year, I can't remember. Ornamental currant, which is absolutely gorgeous, and it's so pretty, and it's one of the first things that comes out, and it always gives me so much joy to see that coming out here. So I come over here, and right, there's not a lot happening in this bed, but there's thyme, and there's some climbing roses, which I always battle with, because they seem to get just totally over the top, and I don't know whoever thought it was a good idea to plant ivy there, but anyway. This thing, I don't know what it is, but it's quite pretty, and it has white flowers in the summer. This I planted, I can't remember what it's called, but it's got pink flowers on it, and actually it's doing really, really well now. Again, you see those big long leaves? Those are some sort of bluebell, which again I don't remember planting, but must have just planted themselves. Oh, now this is exciting. Look, this is the lilac, and what we do with this is we take a third out of the older growth every year to encourage new growth, because we read it on the website that was supposed to help, but look at all the buds on it. Look at it, it's gorgeous, isn't it? Right. Here's a winter flowering clematis that didn't. I don't know what we did wrong with that one. And here's a clematis that does seem to be doing rather well. And there's some sedum, elephant's ears, not elephant's ears. No. My other half calls them railway plants, and the reason he calls them railway plants is because when we first moved here, we went to a model railway exhibition, and when these have finished flowering, they send up kind of things that look like trees. And what the railway modelers do is they get hold of the stalks with the sort of frothy bits on them, spray them with green paint, and they look exactly like trees. So now they will forever be known as railway plants. Okay, excellent. So here's a pyracantha that's had a jolly good haircut, and I brought that from my old house with me and planted it, and now it's huge. This is a hypericum, which seems to self-seed all over the garden. I don't know how, but anyway, hopefully we've tamed that a bit, because it was just enormous. It really was. Now, and this is a hop plant, and this produces the most deliciously fragrant hops. And you can put them in beer or in a potpourri, and they smell absolutely gorgeous. But honestly, this grows like a weed, and I think you could, if I sat here and filmed this for about 10 minutes, I'm sure you could actively see it growing. It's incredible. It's like a triffid. So Fatsia japonica there, which was there when we moved in. Very nice plant, seems to attract flies. This is a firebush. I can't remember the exact scientific name of it. And I've planted some Lithodora down the bottom here with the little blue flowers. And for some reason over this side it's died, and over that side it seems to be okay. We've got an Acer here, Japanese maple, that isn't doing terribly well. I don't know what I did wrong with this. I think maybe the frost got to it one year. No idea. And I'm going to show you my pride and joy now. I'm really proud of these. These are the pots that I did. Started doing. I planted these up in the autumn, and there's a little ornamental cherry thing going on here, which is really, really pretty. It's very early flowering. And there's another one there, and there's some more Muscari grape hyacinths, and some lovely yellow tulips, and the hyacinths are just going over, and then there's a little pear tree. This is supposed to be a patio pear. I think it's only ever produced one or two pears in the last 10 years, but it is still quite pretty. I don't know what I've done wrong with it, frankly. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it sends a message to everyone that gardening is important. It's what keeps us sane. It's what keeps us in touch with nature. When things bloom, when things produce vegetables and fruits and everything. Oh, look at it. How can you not have your heart lifted by this? How can anybody say this isn't essential? Please, tell me this. I feel very privileged to have this. I really do. I feel very sorry for people who have to go to parks and everything. I'm incredibly lucky. Please stay safe and healthy, everyone. And don't let anyone else put you down for your hobbies and interests. Okay, look after yourselves.